Hi everybody, your instructor Ann Teed. In Exploring the Arts, today we're going to be talking about teaching multicultural concepts through the arts. How perfect song and stories and artwork to learn about all cultures, all places and people and belief systems around the world. I've been teaching for a long time, 44 years, and I've had wonderful mentors share with me different ways to honor different cultures, different people, different ways they think, they dress, they sing. And I wanted to talk about that today because so often, especially in this day and age, we could cross over and do something inappropriate and not appreciate a different culture, and we could be in the act of cultural appropriations where we've tried to stamp out something that's not ours in disrespect. So instead of getting into all of that, I want to share with you what I've learned and what I've been teaching and what mentors of mine over the years have taught me. So, every year for many years teaching at Adelphi, I would take my students to the Metropolitan Museum of Art in Manhattan, and we would go into the indigenous section of that big, massive museum, and we would study different artifacts from Asia and India and all over the globe. And my favorite part was viewing and studying masks from around the world. And it's such a big, broad concept that is cross-cultural on pretty much every part of the planet and throughout the history of man and across cultures. So how would I tell my students to incorporate in the visual arts mask making? Would it be to go look at masks and look at the colors and look at the designs and then duplicate and make that mask? That is absolutely not what we want to do. So when I take my students to the Met, we go to a section where there is regalia and masks, and we take a really good look at it. And we use our own eyes and intellect to try to figure out what we're looking at. And we're seeing materials that we don't have in our neighborhood. We're seeing designs and the use of eyes and nose and hair in a way that looks pretty foreign to us, especially in our day and age. Then we start reading the contextual information about the masks. And we're starting to dig in now. We're starting to figure out for that particular mask who the people were. Why did they make this mask? How did they wear it? What it meant to them? What powers that might be intrinsic in wearing that mask? Was it for celebration? Was it to ward off evil? Was it to bring about wealth and prosperity? We don't know until we get the contextual information. A lot of times we don't have that contextual information and we're guessing. And that's just the way things are when we are out and about in the world. Unless somebody has taken the time to put it all together for us to be educated and to know more about something, we're kind of guessing. And we're usually going, is that familiar or is that foreign to me? Do I know what that is? And we make a lot of associations. So the activity I follow through on with my students at the graduate level, art education, visual arts majors who are going to be teachers, is to take a look at that mask. And the particular one that we were looking at was a warrior mask, was a power mask to show strength and to show might in a fight, that the mask would bring the powers of protection and fierceness to fight off anything that was in any kind of danger to the people. So, as I just said, I wouldn't be asking my students to make that mask, but we turned it into, what if you were on a playground and you were a fifth grader and you needed to make a mask to scare off the bully or the bullies? What would that mask look like? What would your mask look like to scare off that fifth grade bully on your playground? Would it have gigantic teeth to be fierce? Would it have gigantic eyes that I could see where you are anywhere? I'm watching you. So you have to kind of go through what the powers would be for your mask and how you would use the features of a face, of a mask, or hair, whatever, could be a whole headpiece, and how you would interpret manipulating the materials, the colors, the shapes to create your power mask. Okay, that's part one. Part two is, well, where's your supplies? So in my assignment, I would have my students take a look around in the junk drawer, take a look in your closet, under your bed. What do you got? Do you have an old t-shirt that you can rip up and whatever? What's in your neighborhood? I'm not talking about going to a craft store and buying all your supplies and your this and that. What do you have? Just like that mask was made 2,000 years ago, 3,000 years ago. What do you have available? That's being respectful to the mask making and learning from the mask that you're viewing. You're not making that mask, you're making your mask for the reasons why you would want to make a mask. I've had students take broken CDs and make shards and a headpiece of, it look like sparkling, wheeling knives to ward off the evil, to protect. I've had a student go to the ocean near where they lived and got a horseshoe crab and took from the beach, gleaned all different shells and weeds of the water and make this incredible mask, and did something with the eyes to make it powerful. To going into your own environment, your own community, and being resourceful to make a mask of your intention. All right, so that's the way we teach authentically. We're inspired by the original mask, and then we create our own for that same purpose. I also did one semester, I had students make a mask of protection because many masks across cultures are also masks of protection. What would that look like for you? What materials, what colors, what shapes? How big would it be? Would it be very small? Would it have animal features? Would it have alien features? That's for you to decide what you would want to do to put a mask together, a frontal piece, maybe a headpiece, to be a protection mask for your needs. And the students came up with incredible masks of protection. Some were very personal, of protecting them from things that trauma that had happened in their life. Some were to protect their children, and a mother mask. Another one was to protect from grief, because the individual had gone through a lot of death, and people really went deep to make their mask of protection. What if it's a mask of celebration? What would it look like? What would the colors that respond to your jubilance and your feeling of celebration? So when you're looking at different cultures and you're pulling and you're inspired by, you're appreciating the original artwork, the original culture, maybe it's Native American, and as we're walking into this new project about laying down the feather, what can we learn about the cross-cultural meaning of holding council and the Native American, the indigenous people, about how to have a conversation and be inspired by that culture and then making it our own? How can we make holding counsel and having conversations with others be inspired by that? All right, I hope this has helped. I learned from, again, many mentors who really taught me that we don't just stick a Coca-Cola on something and call it Native American, or we don't want to stick a McDonald's sticker on something and call it American. We have to be very, very careful how we use symbolism, and we skim identification and just plaster it on something else. Learn from it. What does that mean? And how can I make it my own? So good luck teaching and using multicultural artwork in museums and artifacts to be able to teach, because that's our wealth, to look at the world and what's already out there and then create our own. I hope this has been helpful.